Oh well, hello. One and all, welcome to the Woah Pony podcast live here at Riverside Radio in Battersea Park, London. Pew, 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 pew. Yes, hyping myself up because I'm all on my own. Woo! I've not had a guest in a while, have I? I really should find a friend. How are we? Welcome to the Woah Pony podcast. It's me, Grace Clark, with you on a fine Wednesday evening if you're listening live on the radio. And if you're not, hello and thank you for listening to the podcast or indeed watching the YouTube channel. How are we? I am well, thank you. I tell you something that has disappointed me today, actually, listeners. I bought some Dairy Dunkers earlier as a little snack, a little treat. And I'm gravely disappointed that each Dunker, each stick, is far smaller than they ever used to be. I feel cheated, betrayed, wronged. I'm hurt, frankly, I'm hurt, and I'm considering writing a letter to... Is there a cow that sponsors Dairy Dunkers? I'm going to write it to the cow and I'm going to say, you have robbed me, my friend. You're a con artist. Today, our topic of the week on the podcast is proposals. But of course, it wouldn't be the Woah Pony podcast without it being proposals that have gone wrong, awry, disappointments, and probably a few no's, I'm going to go ahead and say. Some of them are, just at a glance, some of them are a bit dumb. Some of them are a bit dramatic. And some of them are a bit cute. We don't really do cute on this podcast. We do disasters. We do oopsie daisy. We don't really do, oh, that's nice. I'm not quite sure how I'll react to that one. Let's go to another song if you're listening on the radio. And if you're listening on the podcast, will be Root a Boot. That was, if you were listening on the radio, that was Replay by Lady Gaga, a lesser-known favourite from her album Chromatica. I found stories for you about proposals. Some of them have gone wrong. Some of them have gone right. Doesn't quite sound like our usual podcast, does it? But hey-ho, we're here. We're here to go through it together. I think some of them go well. Can you imagine? I'm hoping there's a couple that go wrong. I think without further ado, let's go through a few stories that I've found today. So this first story says, my wife loves the zoo. So my whole plan was to take her and propose in front of the polar bears, which are her favourite animal. When we got there, we wandered around making our way towards the polar bears, but it turned out that the area the polar bears were in was closed off. All my plans were ruined. We wandered around some more and I was more nervous trying to find the right moment. I got very lucky. There was a crowd around some newborn snow leopards. So while she pushed her way to the front, I stood back and got ready. She turned around to try and pull me up to see them and I got down on my knee. The crowd went quiet when they noticed me on my knee and she was too wrapped up in the cats. When she turned around the second time, she thought I was tying my shoelace. It took her a minute to realise what was going on. I asked and she squeaked out a yes. I mean, that's quite cute. Part of me was like, oh, and the cat ate her. I was waiting for like the cat to eat her or the polar bear had escaped. But no, it was a nice story. Let's move on to the next one. It says, a friend of mine was dating a girl for 4 years. She pressured him for the last year of their relationship about marriage, and when he finally popped the question, she left the restaurant without saying anything. The next day she called him and said, yeah, we're done, I'm breaking up with you. To this day, we still have no idea what her problem was. Okay. That is a bit odd. I mean, she got what she asked for. And then she said, no, thank you. A guy I know was driving down the highway with his girlfriend. He tossed a bag onto her lap and she thought it was his cigarettes until he said, open it. She found the engagement ring inside and he said, well, she said, I guess so. And they got married. Romance. I guess there's something to be said for being so comfortable.
This chair is gonna wind me up. Deep breaths, everyone. I just need to stay still, don't I? That's the only reason I'm getting annoyed. I didn't realise I was moving around so much.
I was going to say, I think there's something to be said for being so in love with each other and so comfortable that you don't need to do something grand. It's just part of the natural process of being together. This person said, not witnessed, but my grandmother was proposed to in this way sometime in the 40s. She is sitting shotgun in the car with a guy she considered a friend, which I think is American for she was sitting in the front. He said out of nowhere to her, Rita, that's a classic name, cool. Rita, what I'd really like to have with you is something along the lines of a permanent franchise. His offer was declined. A permanent franchise? A permanent franchise? Was he going to make her sign a contract and everything, you know? Well, apart from a marriage certificate. But you know what I mean. That's a bit strange. Permanent franchise. What was that then? They would get together and then their children and their whole family would be like a chain of restaurants, a whole franchise. That is very strange. The next story says, I had gotten the ring and was thinking about the logistics of where in our apartment I could hide it, that she wouldn't stumble across it. I wanted to make a big presentation of the whole thing and was trying to come up with a good plan. My mum was with me at the time because I value her opinions when it comes to jewellery, and she said, you know, sometimes it's more memorable to make an average moment special and then to make an event out of it. So when I got home, I started changing clothes and the girlfriend came home. I dropped down on one knee and gave her the box. She lost it laughing, and that's when I realised I'd not yet put on my pants. Oopsie. It's certainly memorable, and it's certainly an average moment. Aww. My parents were in the produce section of a grocery store when my dad said, all of our friends are getting married, we should too. My mum, thinking that he was joking, just said yeah and moved on with the shopping. A couple of days later, she got to thinking about it, and with the serious way he said it, he confused her. She went to him and asked if he was serious or kidding around. He responded, well, yeah, I thought we were engaged now. 34 years later, and they're still married. Oh, that's nice. My cousin's marriage proposal was ruined because the person next to them at a booth told my cousin's girlfriend that he saw my cousin writing the marriage question underneath the tablecloth while she was in the restroom. She was supposed to lift it up and see it later on. I think it was his cousin. How many times have you got to write cousin? That's not very nice, and whoever that person was is miserable. Why would you do that? Just let them have something. That's why would you want to ruin a marriage proposal? Sicko.
Sicko.
Let's have a couple more, and then I want to have some songs. I'm on good terms with one of my ex-girlfriends, so I got to hear the story of how her husband proposed to her. That's nice. They were sitting around their apartment one day, and he asked her, can you get my phone from the bedroom? And she got the phone for him. A minute passes, and he said, can you get me a glass of water? And she got him a glass of water. Another minute passes, hey, can you bring me that pair of socks on top of my dresser? She got the socks, the ring was in the socks. He proposed. He thought he was being romantic, but she was really annoyed because she kept having to get him things. She said yes, and they've been married for more than 10 years. Let's go on to the last one. My buddy's girlfriend kept telling me that he couldn't surprise her. Challenge accepted. After college, they were planning to move in together in another town. About 6 months before graduation, he told her he wasn't sure about the move or their relationship. She turned around to cry. He called her name, and when she turned back around, he was on one knee. He said it just to surprise her. What a meanie. Okay, well, those were some stories of proposals that sort of went all right, but, well, they went wrong, but they still said yes in the end. So, I mean, look, it's not traditional Woah Pony podcast material, but we'll put up with it for now. If you're listening on the radio, we're going to have one quick song before the adverts, and if you're listening on the podcast, I'll be right back.